We'll see where we're at. And we will absolutely positively put on the baddest card of all time.
So this is not going to be like a normal card.
No,
all cards are great, but this is going to be
like
a super
an exceptional pay-per-view card.
Wow.
Dana White has officially pulled the plug on the co-main event for UFC Perth after Junior Tafa was forced to withdraw due to injury. With the card just days away, the UFC scrambled to reshuffle, leaving fans wondering how this change will impact the event's hype. Meanwhile, the featherweight division could be headed for fireworks, as talk heats up around a potential clash between Ilia Topuria and Paddy Pimblett. While many expect Topuria to defend his belt against a top contender, some insiders believe the UFC might lean into the money fight with Pimblet instead. And over in the bantamweight mix, Merab Dvalishvili isn't holding back, sending a clear warning to Corey Sandhagen ahead of their showdown, promising a brutal, entertaining performance as he chases a statement win. The UFC landscape is shifting fast, and these stories could define the months ahead. Don't miss out on the latest fight news, drama, and breaking updates. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay locked in with MMA Desk.
You can't deny him anymore. Look at the guys that he's beaten the last few years. The best guys ever in the weight class. How do you deny him? And then what he did to Leon, it's not like it was like a boring fight. He went to Manchester and beat him in his hometown. So it wasn't like some split decision. He went and beat the champion in his hometown.
Jared Gordon recently opened up about the car accident that happened before his last UFC fight. He explained that he was hit by a car during fight week but chose not to tell the UFC, the commission, or fans. This decision only came to light after another fighter, Bilal Muhammad, revealed the news to the public. When bettors found out, many of them were furious. They claimed Gordon should have told everyone he was injured so they wouldn't have risked their money on him. Gordon didn't hold back in his response. He called out the people sending him angry messages and said he doesn't care about their gambling problem. According to him, fighting is not his only way of making money, so he doesn't feel pressured by fans who want to use him for their bets. His main point was that fighters don't owe bettors anything, and the risks they take inside and outside the cage are personal choices, not gambling tips.
You out, he called Gaethje out. Paddy was the one, though, that walked into the octagon. How did he become the one that got into the octagon, and it wasn't you, the #1 contender?
It was the Joe Rogan mistake, and he shouldn't call his even name, bring him to the octagon. I said, this is not sport, this is WWE, they can do it.
Arman Tsarukyan has been busy with grappling competitions while waiting for his return to the UFC octagon. He recently signed on for a match against former UFC fighter Benson Henderson. Arman explained that he cannot afford to make any mistakes because fight fans can be brutal. If he loses, he knows people will criticize him and question his abilities. The match will be 10 minutes long without breaks, which makes it exhausting both mentally and physically. Tsarukyan said he is taking it as seriously as a regular fight, and these competitions help him stay motivated while waiting for a big UFC opportunity. He's already had a canceled fight with Islam Makhachev in the past, so grappling matches keep him sharp. For him, this is about showing his skills, building discipline, and reminding people that he belongs at the top of the lightweight division.
With Arman Tsarukyan weighing in as the backup, is he getting back in the good graces with you and the...
Well, it's not about getting back in the good graces. It's about, the guy had the opportunity to fight for a title and didn't make weight.
Alongside his grappling talks, Arman also shared his thoughts about Ilia Topuria's future. Topuria is the new featherweight champion, and many expect him to defend his belt against a top contender like Giga Chikadze. However, Arman doesn't believe that fight will happen next. Instead, he thinks the UFC might book Topuria against Paddy Pimblett. Pimblet is one of the most popular fighters in the sport right now, and Arman believes the UFC could use that star power to sell a big fight. He added that Topuria may not stick around at featherweight forever. Instead, he might move up to lightweight and eventually even to welterweight to chase super fights. According to Arman, if Islam Makhachev stays champion, Topuria could try to face him at 170 pounds.
So if he wants to assure his title shot, he has to fight with Justin Gaethje, because if he fights with Arman, I think that Arman's gonna beat him. So the easiest path he has right now to get the title shot is Justin.
Okay, thank you.
Stylistically.
That would give him a chance to try to make history as a triple champion, something no UFC fighter has ever done. Arman also said that if Topuria does lose at 170, he can easily drop back down and blame it on moving up 2 divisions. Merab Dvalishvili is gearing up for his fight against Corey Sandhagen, and he's making bold promises. Merab is known for his relentless wrestling style, which has carried him to long win streaks, but he wants to show fans more than just grappling. In his last fight, he got a submission win, ending his string of decision victories. Now, he's focused on adding a knockout to his record. Merab explained that he has been working on his striking a lot in training and wants to prove it in the cage. And obviously, we saw the video clip online of, Corey Sandhagen coming up and congratulating you and shaking your hand. So is that the guy that you want? And if so, what do you make of him as an opponent?
Yes, top of my head, he's the best deserving guy in this division right now. Especially he was fighting always the best of the best. He was company guy.
He knows Corey Sandhagen is a dangerous striker with long reach and unorthodox movement. So this fight will likely play out on the feet. Still, Merab said he's ready for anything. He respects Sandhagen as a fighter and as a person, but he's determined to make this fight brutal and entertaining for fans. His coach even promised that people will see a whole new version of Merab, one who isn't afraid to take risks to finish the fight. Beyond his own fight, Merab also gave his thoughts on the bantamweight division. He commented on the upcoming matchup between Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Bautista. Merab made it clear that he is rooting for Bautista. In his eyes, Bautista has proven himself with solid wins and deserves a title shot if he beats Umar.
When you look at this style matchup, what do you see as the areas of advantage when you look at Jose Aldo?
I think definitely setting a high pace, keeping a high pace, high volume. Jose likes to be explosive, and just implementing some of these things that, maybe Merab did, like holding him against the cage. He doesn't really, get off the cage too well.
Merab added that Bautista's cousin isn't a legend like Khabib Nurmagomedov, which means he doesn't get automatic hype. According to him, some fighters with famous names get title opportunities too easily, while others with long win streaks are overlooked. Bautista, he said, has done the hard work without those advantages, so he hopes he gets rewarded. His comments stirred some tension in the division, as Umar's camp hasn't responded yet, but it shows how competitive and personal things can get among top contenders. While the fighters are sorting out their rivalries, big business decisions are happening behind the scenes. Recently, fans learned that the UFC had talks with Netflix about a possible broadcasting deal. Some people thought Netflix might become the new home for UFC fights, but the deal fell apart. The main reason was that Netflix only wanted to stream pay-per-view events, not the smaller fight night cards.
Why wouldn't you immediately go and try and do a deal like that?
Why wouldn't we go sign a deal like Netflix? Satellite's dying quickly. These streaming services, I think Netflix stock is higher than it's ever been. They're killing it, and the world's going to change a lot. When we do our next rights deal, while we're in this deal, the world will completely change by the time we come out the other side of that deal.
This was a big problem because the UFC wanted all of its events under one roof. Eventually, the UFC signed with Paramount and CBS instead. Fans online debated whether this was the right move. Some liked the idea of keeping everything in one place because it makes it easier to follow the sport. Others felt Netflix would have been better for exposure, especially since Netflix has so many global subscribers. A few even said that the UFC fumbled the opportunity, pointing out how great fights look on Netflix's app. Still, for now, all UFC events will remain together with Paramount and CBS. There were also some fight announcements that added excitement for upcoming cards. A middleweight fight between Mansour Abdul Malik and Antonio Tricoli was moved to UFC 323 inches Las Vegas. Abdul Malik is looking to bounce back after his last fight was ruled a draw, while Tricoli is trying to break his losing streak inside the UFC. In addition, fans learned that a women's flyweight bout between Teresa Bleda and Jamie Lynn Horth will take place in December. Horth is coming off a solid win, while Bleda is returning after being away from action since 2023. On the heavyweight side, a fresh prospect named Sean Sheriff will face Aspinall after impressing on the Contender Series. These smaller announcements may not grab the same attention as title fights, but they are important for building the future of the divisions. One of the most talked about fighters outside of the octagon right now is Kayla Harrison. She's been in discussions for a huge fight with Amanda Nunes, and fans are eagerly waiting to see if it happens. Harrison admitted she has had conversations with her coaches about whether to wait for Nunes or move on to another opponent. She explained that she doesn't want to hold up her division by waiting too long because other fighters also need opportunities. At the same time, she said everything she's heard suggests Nunes is ready to go and wants the fight as well. Harrison believes it will happen, but if it doesn't, she has a backup plan. She stressed that fighters have short careers and limited windows to achieve their dreams, so she doesn't want to waste time. Fans are hopeful that this super fight gets finalized soon, as it could be one of the biggest women's MMA bouts in history. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall is preparing for his fight against Cyril Gane, and he's keeping an open mind about what might happen. Many people know Gane for his striking, but he's been working on his ground game since losing to John Jones by submission.
Cyril tweeted that he thinks you should be careful what you wish for, and he'll see you in Paris. How do you think you match up against Cyril?
I better be careful, apparently. Yeah. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power.
Aspinall said he wouldn't be surprised if Gane tries to take him down. He explained that in MMA, fighters must be ready for anything, whether it's striking or grappling. Aspinall trains with high-level athletes in every area, so he feels comfortable wherever the fight goes. He also noted that Gane's past weaknesses might have forced him to improve, which could make him a more dangerous opponent. Aspinall is approaching the fight with respect and preparation, ready to adapt to whatever strategy Gane brings. This fight has fans buzzing because it could show how much Gane has grown since his loss to Jones, and whether Aspinall can solidify himself as the top heavyweight in the UFC. Kelvin Gastelum made headlines for missing weight yet again, this time at middleweight. Despite moving back up to 185 pounds, he came in 5 pounds over the limit. Fans were quick to criticize him, calling for the UFC to release him just like they did with other fighters who missed weight. However, some people defended him, pointing out that he took the fight on short notice. Coach Ray Longo said the UFC shares some of the blame for booking Gastelum with only about a month to prepare. He compared it to giving someone a loaded weapon and expecting them not to make a mistake. Gastelum has a long history of struggling with weight cuts, but this situation may be different because of the timing. For now, there's no clear sign that the UFC will cut him, but the pressure is definitely building. This latest miss adds to the ongoing debate about whether Gastelum can continue at middleweight or if his future in the UFC is in jeopardy. Finally, the UFC world was rocked when Dana White canceled the co-main event for the upcoming card in Perth. Junior Tafa had to pull out of his fight with Ibo Aslan because of an injury, leaving the UFC scrambling just days before the event. Without enough time to find a replacement, the promotion had to change the card completely. The new co-main event will feature Jimmy Crute taking on Ivan Erslan, while Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Olberg was moved up to the main event spot. Fans were disappointed but also hopeful that Tafa and Aslan will eventually rebook their fight. Injuries are always unpredictable in combat sports, but this one stung because it happened so close to fight night. Still, the UFC adjusted quickly, and Perth will still get a strong card filled with action. The changes highlight just how fast things can shift in MMA, with fighters, fans, and promoters all forced to adapt at the last moment. The past week has shown just how unpredictable and exciting the world of MMA can be. From Jared Gordon's car accident story and his blunt words to angry bettors, to Arman Tsarukyan staying sharp with grappling while predicting Ilia Topuria's next big move. Fighters are proving that drama outside the cage can be just as intense as what happens inside it. Merab Dvalishvili is aiming to bring a new level of violence against Corey Sandhagen, while also stirring debate about who truly deserves title shot. At the same time, business decisions like the UFC's choice not to partner with Netflix show that the sport isn't just about fights, it's also about how fans can watch them. Add in fight announcements, Kayla Harrison's hunt for Amanda Nunes, Tom Aspinall's thoughts on Cyril Gane's improvements, and Kelvin Gastelum's weight struggles, and you can see how many moving pieces shape the UFC landscape. Finally, with Dana White canceling the UFC Perth co-main event, fans are reminded once again how quickly cards can change. Every week brings surprises, rivalries, and big questions about the future. Don't miss the latest breakdowns, updates, and fight news. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay connected with MMA Desk.